Joining us now is the top boss of ITC, Sanjiv Puri, who is also the chairman of the National Council for Agriculture at CII. Mr. Puri, thank you so much for giving time to ET now. This is Nayanthara Rai, actually joining you from the CII headquarters. I want to begin by first asking you, the Union Budget 2021 has managed to smash all kind of records on the stock markets. A big thumbs up that's coming in from all stakeholders of the economy. Mr. Puri, do you think the finance minister, with all the announcements that have been made, has convinced industry to do a turnaround, to start investing? Have the animal spirits been unleashed?
Well, first of all, Nayanthara, thank you for having me on the show. And yes, this is indeed a visionary, a growth-oriented budget with focus on the six very important pillars to lay the foundation of sustained growth of the economy in future. It is very welcome that there has been an expansion in the fiscal space with a very clear glide path, and the quality of expenditure is also commendable. Last year also the capital expenditure has been better than the original estimates, and there is a significant enhancement going forward. So this investment in infrastructure is certainly going to not only create livelihoods, which is very important today, it's a very important requirement today, but also over time enhance competitiveness of the economy, and hopefully these investments will set the virtuous cycle of employment and consumption and investment. Industry investment will certainly happen when capacity utilizations improve. And the second factor is when the corporate earnings are better, and that's already starting to happen. And some time back, the Honorable Finance Minister had also reduced the corporate tax. That also enhances the competitiveness of investment in India. So I think all this certainly augurs well. And in addition to that, I think the focus on inclusive growth, the focus on rural infrastructure, the focus on human capital deployment, on quality of life, I think this is also going to create social equity. So all in all, it's a terrific budget, takes care of growth, sets the growth cycle in pace, and also has the right levers in place to make sure that the growth is inclusive and sustainable.
In fact, Mr. Puri, because you're talking about the high quality government expenditure, the focus on infrastructure, the benefit of all of that will of course come in the years to come. But in the pandemic year, what we also saw was that a lot of growth was coming from the smaller towns and from rural India. But the kind of thrust that we're seeing, the lifetime hike expenditure that is being planned by the government, how is all of this likely to pan out in the immediate post-corona world?
See, while the competitiveness of the economy could happen over a period of time as the projects get commissioned, but the moment infrastructure development starts, that creates livelihoods, that creates consumption in the economy. And as far as the rural is concerned, it's been more resilient than urban during the pandemic year. I think the agriculture sector has performed relatively better. It has been quite resilient during these difficult period. And I think government also has extended timely support to this sector during the year. I think all this augur well, and with the investments that are also there in rural infrastructure and the better performance of the agriculture sector, I do believe that the rural demand and consumption is certainly going to be continue to be resilient.
But, so Mr. Puri, do you think your industry peers will start now making announcements even if they don't make announcements, will stop being stubborn when it comes to not investing? Will we see the private sector capex cycle being turned around post this budget?
I think private sector is obviously keen to invest. It's always keen to invest when there is opportunity. I think there is no I think it would not be right to say there is any stubbornness not to invest. When there is opportunity, certainly the private sector is very keen to invest. Now, as I said, investment depends on capacity utilization. And I think with the sustained growth of consumption, we will be soon coming to a point where investment cycles will come. I think it's a matter of time when investment cycles will come. And also with the reduction in corporate tax, I think the investments are getting more attractive. So certainly investments will happen. I'm quite optimistic about it. And it is something that I think it's going to actually be, in my view, a virtuous cycle. As consumption picks up, investments happen, these will create further livelihoods and therefore further consumption, and it's going to be a virtuous cycle of employment, investments, growth, and it will be sustained.
Because Mr. Puri, while the stock markets, stakeholders are celebrating, as they rightly should, a stable tax regime. I think there is no COVID cess, there is no rich, super rich tax, there is no tinkering with the personal income tax slabs. You've got stability, and that's what everybody always wants, right? But on the flip side then, another way to look at it, and critics always look for ways, don't they, is that in a pandemic year when they have lost jobs and they've seen salary cuts, all of that, nothing has been done to put more money in the hands of the Aam Aadmi. And how will that impact consumerism?
Well, I think once livelihoods are created, automatically more people are earning. So that I think is a more sustained approach. And of course, I think we must recognize and credit the government for the timely action that the government has been taking during the pandemic period to provide help to those who need it. It's been, in fact, the reaction was very, very swift, I would say. And there are also incentives that have been announced to enhance employment. But in my view, the most important pillar to creating inclusive growth is to create sustained livelihoods. I think infrastructure is going to kickstart it. Let me also talk about another sector, and that is the agriculture sector. And if you, not merely the budget, if you go back and look at the last year, there have been a number of policy interventions in agriculture. And a lot of them are to do on the supply side, which is the formation of FPOs, cluster-based business organizations, the agri-infrastructure funds that provide the tools to actually make the back end more productive, enhance the quality of the back end, quality of produce in the back end. So these are strong interventions that have happened. And this budget accelerates the process because it has enhanced the funds allocated for such interventions. So it's going to create a lot of productivity, and this productivity in turn will help multiply farmer incomes. The second is there are also other policy interventions that have happened for enhancing the market linkages, which has also been a problem area in agriculture. Then you look at the PLI scheme. The PLI scheme also provides the impetus to value addition in agriculture. So look at it, competitive agri-value chains, better market linkages, incentives to kickstart value addition in agriculture. These augur well, and agriculture is employing about nearly half of India's workforce. And when quality of incomes improve here, this can materially impact consumption cycles in the economy and kickstart a virtuous cycle. So both, the investments in for example, in infrastructure and the attempt to, or the interventions to make agriculture competitive, to multiply farmer incomes, I think both of it augur very well for the economy. And it's going to, over time, I believe, take India into a much higher trajectory of growth and sustained growth, which is very important.
So, Mr. Sanjiv Puri, I want to talk to you more about agriculture. Now, budget is, of course, a financial review, reform, but it's also a political message that goes out. And the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, tackled it head-on. Look at the amount of time she spent on agriculture, the amount of time she spoke about MSP, for example. Now, all of this, of course, will have a rub-off effect on ancillary industries. Let's talk about FMCG, for example.
Well, FMCG's growth is dependent on consumption in the economy. So anything that boosts consumption will lead to further growth in FMCG. And as I've just said, that all the right levers have been pressed to create livelihoods, to make agriculture more productive, to enhance farmer incomes. So all this will certainly give a boost to consumption, and therefore FMCG should also benefit over a period of time.